Hey there, and welcome into Main Street Living. I'm, of course, Danielle Alvari. And as you can see, no Quincy this week. He is still sailing away, and hopefully, we will have Cheryl joining us back shortly as well. But in the meantime, we are very lucky because we have a guest host here today, Kate Longworth. Kate, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. I was fortunate enough to be a guest at one point talking about one of the shows I host on Your View, and now I get to be a host. It's all coming together, and it's very exciting to get
A
to.
long time coming. Where else? What other projects or where else can people find you?
I've covered sports from coast to coast, from the NFL and World Series of college basketball, but now I call Arizona home, and you can find me on social media platforms at Kate Longworth and at Kate Longworth TV, and of course on Your View with Arizona Living.
Yes, and of course, this is a Your View show as well, and we have a great one coming up. We're going to get to talk about NFTs with some crypto chicks, and also we'll get to visit with a high school that's helping to prepare their students for their futures.
And we'll give you a little jolt as we talk about Jason Mraz and how he keeps busy when he's not on stage with coffee growing, and another performer who has found the perfect way to keep Frank Sinatra's memory alive.
That's right. And we're also going to take a little visit below the border, perhaps. And while we're down there, of course, we're going to spend some time talking about Earth Day as well, coming up, celebrating that as always. But first, we will visit the sea in the desert. You don't want to miss it. Lots of great things coming up right here on Main Street Living. Welcome back into Main Street Living. Now, we like to think that we celebrate our planet every month, but during Earth Month in April, we try to do a little extra to learn about the environment, appreciate the nature around us, and hopefully do some fun activities that are also good for the Earth.
Yeah, and what's more fun than a trip to OdySea Aquarium in Scottsdale, Arizona? In addition to their spectacular exhibits, they also have some exciting events planned to celebrate Earth Day. Joining us now is Dave Peranteau. He's going to give us some of the details. And now, Dave, I know you guys are located in Arizona. It's known for being a dry desert. So what can visitors expect when they head to the aquarium? I mean, judging by the background, it looks like a great time.
We're a jewel of Scottsdale. We have over 2 million gallons of water here that about over 7,000 animals call home, about 350 species. And we're just really, really proud. We're only 6 years old, or just under 6 years old. And we also do a lot of conservation work, especially locally in the valley.
Well, we're celebrating Earth Month right now, and Earth Day is just around the corner, but conservation is a big focus at OdySea Aquarium all year long. Can you tell us a little bit about the grant you just received and what you're going to be doing with it?
Yes, OdySea is very proud. We received a $10,000 grant from the Associations of Zoos and Aquariums. This association is probably the most well-known accreditation for zoos and aquariums all over the world. And they tasked their zoos and aquariums with coming up with conservation ideas that impacted their specific communities. And so since we share this land, we're guests here from the Salt River, Pima, Maricopa Indian community. We decided to partner with them and do 3 different conservation initiatives to just get involved, get the community involved, and make a specific impact.
That's great. And you guys just hosted your first AquaQuery run, a 5K in which a lot of people participated in. What was the purpose behind this fundraiser?
Well, the OdySea 5K, our query run, just happened this past Sunday, and we had over 500 runners, which we were really, really excited about. And it really benefited 2 things. It benefited our foundation, the OdySea Aquarium Foundation, which is our nonprofit arm here. And their first goal is to bring underprivileged children to the aquarium for them to experience it. So we work with a lot of Title I schools in the Valley. So this is going to really enable more kids to experience this beautiful building and these beautiful animals. And specifically more, we are focusing this race on penguin conservation. We have 40 African penguins that call OdySea Aquarium home. And right now their conservation status is getting more and more bleak out in the wild. So we were able to raise significant funds to really help that species survive for generations to come.
Well, I love a great pun. So you had me at Aquarium Run, and then nonprofit, helping kids, helping penguins, all things we love. Earth Day kicks off the Party for the Planet, and OdySea Aquarium is hosting a very innovative art contest to celebrate. What can you tell us about that contest?
This is the second year we're doing this art contest, and it's really fun. So we're asking children to submit an art project of an endangered species. So they have to research an endangered species. It doesn't necessarily have to be marine, but we're asking them to make the art project out of completely recycled goods. Last year, we had about 350 kids submit, and two great things happened. First of all, their artwork will be displayed at OdySea Aquarium throughout the contest, as well as each child that submits an art project gets a free ticket into the aquarium as well.
A lot of fun and a learning lesson as well. And we know that a lot of zoos and aquariums put a lot of emphasis on conservation that's aimed towards the animal species that they care for. You guys do this, but you also go beyond that and focus on some conservation for the local environment. Why is that important?
The whole concept of OdySea Aquarium is to follow a drop of water from the sky into the rivers, into the oceans. So we want to teach people, especially people from the valley that might wonder what can we do living in Arizona or living in the valley that affects the ocean, and everything's connected. So our goal from starting with conservation in a local community is to really teach and empower our guests and people that live in this region that they still can make a difference that will affect not only our local community, but also the oceans of the world.
Well, I like what you said there. Everything is connected. And in the spirit of connection, how can viewers get involved or find more information about the OdySea Aquarium?
The easiest way is to come to OdySeaAquarium.com. And there's a lot of information on there. We even have our own conservation page. So we do have a lot of cleanups coming up. We do public cleanups all year round. We're always asking for people to come out. They're usually on the weekend and spend a couple hours in the morning with us, just making a difference in our local community. We also do a lot of things inside this building. So you can get all your information there.
And real quick, before we let you go, what's going on behind you right now? I know you said you have some practice going on.
Yeah, our sharks are being fed right now, and I can turn this a little bit. You can see that platform behind us, there's actually a shark on it now. We've actually trained our sharks to swim into stretchers just in case the doctors want to come and look at them and make sure they're well. So instead of us diving in the pool and going to get the sharks, we've actually worked with our sharks, and they come to us now.
So you've eliminated the need for a shark ambulance. So that's incredible. Thank you so much for all of your work and for joining us today.
We appreciate
Thank you for having us. We look forward to everybody coming and seeing OdySea.
Very cool. Who knew you could find an aquarium so far away from the ocean? Up next, though, people love water. It's essential to life, but some people think that coffee is also essential to life. So we're going to grab some coffee with Jason Mraz.
You had me at coffee. Welcome back to Main Street Living. Coffee. Now that I have your attention, check out this story that comes with a little perk. Jason Mraz, you probably know him from his incredible music career, but did you also know that he is growing some of the finest coffee you'll find in the world, and it's located right in California?
That's right. Jason planted his first coffee trees in 2015 on his farm in San Diego County, where their motto is to be organic, fair, and kind. You've got to love that. Check this out.
I started my career in coffee shops. That's standing in the corner, trying to sing over a steam wand or an espresso machine or a burr grinder. And through my travels as an artist, I would dip into coffee shops all around the world and started to fall in love with the beverage itself. So I decided I would be more proactive with my trees and go organic and draw carbon down and be a better steward of the earth. because for me, I felt like it was a good way to offset my music travels. We are in Oceanside, California, and we are a subtropical fruit farm. We grow 11 different varieties of coffee, and we are the producer of the coffee cherry, which is the very first step in the entire process to get a great cup of coffee. Every single tree requires a human to be visiting it weekly. We have about 2,400 coffee trees in the ground here on this farm. Of those 11 varieties, there are a few that are sought after. One specifically, probably the most sought after coffee in the world, is the geisha variety, which originated in Gesha village, Ethiopia.
The Mraz family farm, it's the first farm in San Diego County to produce a geisha. The farm is truly a project of love, I'll be honest with you. The best coffee typically is grown at the highest elevation.
And the reason for that, in that high altitude, is it gets colder up there. And it causes that cherry to slow down its ripening process.
What we lack in elevation, we make up for because we have winter.
It's a mild winter. We're in a subtropical region, so we only get to about freezing, but it's not enough of a winter to kill the plants and harm the fruit. So where we don't have altitude, we have latitude. And that latitude allows California, by sheer accident, be a specialty coffee producer. This one would probably be delicious. Geisha has a reputation for its flavor, this silky smoothness that goes along with it. It also has a reputation on the marketplace because historically it has always been the most expensive cup of coffee. I mean, last year's Best of Panama sold for over $1,000 a pound. And that, my friends, is just the green finished bean.
So this would be the geisha variety. This would be a natural, that's why there's a little bit of reddish color to it. The seeds are almost canoe shaped. They're oblong and they're narrower.
Once the roaster gets involved, they take that green bean, they add heat, the bean explodes, it loses half its weight and it doubles in size. And through the roasting process, that little green bean becomes that beautiful chocolatey coffee bean that everyone recognizes. If you get a California geisha, you're drinking one of the rarest coffees in the world. I love being a steward of the earth and seeing what happens when you plant a tree and give it love. It's very much the same in any business or creative endeavor where you plant an idea and you water it, you nurture it, and then over the years you see what it grows into. We're here on Earth for a limited time. It's a miracle that we're even here, have consciousness, and it's a real luxury and an honor to be able to spend my time with these sentient beings.
Gotta love it. Jason Mraz starts his musical career singing in coffee shops, and now, well, he's growing coffee.
Who doesn't love a great coffee shop? And I got to try that geisha coffee. That sounds really elite, right? Now I got to work my way up to that. Jason also grows avocados, passion fruit, dragon fruit, and bananas at Mraz Family Farms. Sounds like a place that's good for the earth and your belly. So you can find out more at mrazfamilyfarms.org. But don't go anywhere because up next we are taking it to a musical place. And we have to ask, is Frank Sinatra in the house? Hi there, we're back here on Main Street Living. You know, Kate, some things just never go out of style, like the little black dress, pearls, and Frank Sinatra.
Yes, they are called the classics for a reason. And our next guest has perfected the art of keeping those classics live and fun and relevant. And he is a stranger in the night no longer. We welcome in award-winning singer and actor Richard Shelton. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me along.
Yeah, we're excited to talk to you. And I know you just released your new album, An Englishman in Love in LA. The title basically says it all, but what inspired this album?
Yes, as you can hear by my accent, plainly, I'm from across the water there. I came to LA, with nothing more than a pocket full of dreams and hopes, like so many people, when they went on a go on a new voyage. And I have a big association, as you said a minute ago, with Frank Sinatra, a dramatic association. But I needed there to be clear blue water between me and Frank Sinatra, because he occupies a lot of my acting life. But this music, this album is about me. So this is about, the journey of life I was on and what I wanted to say on that journey. So in the genre of music, but offering original songs and some pop classics and jazz, that people are familiar with, but in a fresh way, in a fresh light.
Well, we know too that you did just get back from a performance, so we appreciate you joining us on the show today. You mentioned that your work is heavily influenced by Frank Sinatra. Did you always sing like him naturally, or was that something you kind of worked at?
No, I mean, it's the strangest thing. I mean, I was aware of Frank Sinatra from a tiny age. I mean, I guess I was about 6 years old in the small town where I live in England. And I saw this photograph of this boy, when he was a boy, Frank Sinatra. And I remember saying to my mother, "Mummy, who is this? It looks like me." And she said, "So it does." And I got to about 14, and my father was always listening to big band, jazz, swing. So I grew up with that genre of music. And I remember listening to the My Way album, and I just intuitively got the cadence of his voice and what he was saying lyrically. And I think that that's one of the most important things with Frank Sinatra, because people talk a lot about his phrasing, which of course was impeccable, but he was every inch an actor. He told the story of his songs, and he was quoted as saying, "The lyrics come first," not to demean the music, but if you get the lyrics right, you can tell the most magnificent stories. And even at 14 years old, I kind of got that. And it just so happened that my voice kind of fits in the same register. So when I came to act him many, many years later, it was a comfortable fit, shall we say. There was a naturalness to the whole relationship.
Yeah, there's definitely a candid connection. So what are some of the projects that you've worked on that have involved Frank Sinatra?
Well, there were two major ones. So one was a drama. I guess it was all age appropriate. I've only ever played him age appropriate. So I played him when I was in my early 40s in a show called Rat Pack Confidential. And it started out in regional theatre in the UK. And then it made it to the West End, which of course is like Broadway for folks who know theatre in the US. And it was a big success. It looked at the dark side of the five men in the Rat Pack: Frank Dean, Sammy, Joey Bishop, and Peter Lawford. And then some years later, I played him in another drama called Sinatra Raw. And as the title suggests, it's raw as in R-A-W, not R-O-A-R, not roaring. And again, it looks at his life when he's in his 50s, approaching retirement for the first time. And he feels redundant. He feels this is the 70s. What am I all about? I'm married and divorced. It's the time of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and David Bowie. Where do I fit in? And so it looks at those questions that I think we all face just as human beings. And the narrative, as he sort of remembers, the allegations made against him, the womanizing, the whole, mafia connections, as he remembers. The only thing on stage with him is a bottle of Jack Daniels. As Jack Daniels goes down and the memories come flooding forwards, the fabled Sinatra anger comes out, and the music supports all of that. So those are the two projects I was involved with.
Very, very cool. I didn't even know about all that history with him and kind of the back half of his life. What is it about Frank Sinatra and his music that makes it so timeless?
Oh, I think he speaks to us all. I mean, you know what? It's as relevant now as it ever was. So, for example, if you listen to him singing in the wee small hours of the morning, you are just about the only person in the bar. You know what I mean? Or he sings "Come Fly With Me." You're up there on the moon with him. It's seductive. It's real. The tone, of course, of his voice is timeless. So I think he explores, through his music, you hear the emotions of what he's singing about. And he can make me, whilst I know his work, he can make me instantaneously happy when I put on his music, or he can let me sit in my sadness for a moment. I just think he's as relevant now as he ever was.
Yeah, it's very cathartic. And I know too, you've had an impressive acting career.
Yeah.
You've had some roles in shows like Jane the Virgin, House of Lies, just to name a couple. But what has been your favorite role to play?
Oh, Frank Sinatra. Always Frank Sinatra.
Oh,
There's no question. I mean, certainly, like I said before, my relationship is very much that of an actor. I don't think I can't mimic him, but I can evoke him, through
Mm.
that process of acting, which is much what, Kate Blanchett did as Queen Elizabeth I, for example, or Helen Mirren as the Queen. It's an evocation. And I think when I get into that moment, then I'm able to tell the story. And the music, of course, is so important. It helps set the tone, set the mood and the emotion of the man. And I guess that's what I've tried to do, with this album, is to tell stories. It's a similar, I've borrowed that from him, if you like. We have some uncanny connections, Frank Sinatra and I, which is strange, seeing as I'm from over there, and he, of course, is from over here. But I've borrowed those skills, if you like, to try and tell some stories with this music and make it relevant for folks today.
Well, so speaking of your album, you must be excited to have that out in the world. And like you said, kind of a separate thing in some ways. What do you hope people get from this new album?
Well, I hope they get. I hope they get. Oh, I hope they get romance. I hope they get it. There's 16 songs in total, which is a lot of songs. But of course, the thing couldn't be released because of the pandemic, and there were other delays. So I added some sneaky originals to it. So there's messages of hope, there's foot tapping, happy stuff. There's a couple of songs, I said it's about love, and it is about love, but it's about every type of love. So it's about the beginning of love when it's all fresh and gorgeous. But it's also about those moments where love goes wrong, because that's as important as the happy stuff. Unless you have the sad stuff, you can't have the happy stuff. So there's 2 songs on it. One is an original called Over Like the Roses, and another is by a guy called Richard Hawley, who was in a British band called Pulp. And that's called For Your Lover Give Some Time. And it talks about being aware of not taking your lover for granted, which I think is something we can all do. We get so swept up in our daily lives that sometimes it's easy to neglect the needs of the person who's most important in our lives. And the song talks about that. So it's kind of every shade of love, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your passion with us. And how can viewers keep up with what you're doing?
Well, through my website, which is right there on the screen, richardshelton.co.uk, or at Richard Shelton, as you see on Twitter, or It's Richard Shelton, I think, is the Instagram link. But type in my name and you'll find me somewhere.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks so much, Richard.
Thank you very much indeed. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Wow, I feel like we got transported back to another time in that segment. So that was really special. Coming up, just how valuable is an internship? We'll find out next. Welcome back into Main Street Living. High school is an exciting time in students' life, getting to know themselves, figuring out what they find important. And it's also an essential step along the educational journey and a time to consider what kind of careers might be the best fit.
Yeah, and a great way to get that real life experience and try out different work environments is through internships, which is a true focus at San Miguel High School in Tucson, Arizona.
San Miguel is a Lasallian Catholic learning community, empowering youth from underserved families through Christian values, rigorous academics, and practical work experience. As most people know, the corporate work study component of the Cristo Rey and San Miguel program is often referred to as the secret sauce of the program. And when students work, about 40% of that goes directly towards offsetting the cost of their education in a private Catholic college and career-ready school.
Our students are busy. These are really top-notch young people. So our students go to work 1 to 2 days per week, and they're actually going to class 3 to 4 days per week.
My name is Jocelyn Wong. I am a senior from San Miguel High School, and I work 1 day a week at Cox Media. San Miguel's corporate work study program means a lot to my family because it allows me to work for money that goes towards my tuition. And it means a lot to my family because we are a one-income family. Currently, my dad's the only one working.
Many students don't have their first job until they leave high school, sometimes until they leave college. So our students are coming out of high school, moving into post-secondary education, already having 4 years of work under their belt. So our students have explored different departments, different corporations, so different career paths. They really go into post-secondary education with a pretty good handle on what they want to do, and they do change their major less than the average college student.
The jobs that I have worked through the corporate work study program have prepared me for the corporate work path. My freshman and sophomore year, I worked at Northwest Women's Imaging, and it was a very hands-on job where I could interact with the patients, and that really helped me better my communication skills.
Yeah, our students can do a huge array of different things at work. We have students at Banner Hospital transporting patients. We have students at Tucson Electric Power that are working in human resources and accounting. We have students that are doing front desk work and clerical work for companies, students that are helping companies go paperless. It really runs the gamut.
I have learned that I am more confident than I think and that I possess a lot of skills and qualities that I didn't know about myself before. In 10 years, I see myself as a doctor. I am very interested in cardiology, and I know it will take a lot of schooling, and I may be continuing my education in 10 years, but I know that this is a great career path for me because I love helping others.
At this time, we do not have more jobs than we have students, unfortunately. So we are in the midst of trying to gain some more corporate partners so that all of our students can have an incredible workplace experience.
If you're interested in a student worker, please go on San Miguel's website, www.sanmiguelhigh.org. Go to the work study drop-down menu, learn more about our program, come down to the school, see the school in action, and we're also happy to come to you and share more about our wonderful program.
Well, it wasn't San Miguel High School, but I did get my first internship in Tucson, Arizona, and it really laid the foundation for the rest of my career. So I appreciate those times.
Absolutely. And I love that they're focusing on real world experience because that's so important in today's job market, especially. You can find more about San Miguel High School and their work study program at sanmiguelhigh.org. Next up, we get to meet some very cool chicks, the crypto chicks.
Welcome back. Okay, Danielle, serious question for you. Have you jumped on the NFT bandwagon yet? We know that NFTs and cryptocurrency have been getting a lot of attention lately, but recent studies show there's actually a giant gender gap when it comes to the crypto market, which could leave women behind, both culturally and financially.
Absolutely. And our next guest co-founded an exclusively female NFT collection called Crypto Chicks to highlight the importance of women in the crypto space and reflect the individual uniqueness in every woman. Please welcome into Main Street Living one of the Crypto Chicks, Maddie Lieber. Maddie, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So Maddie, you have to start with, why is there such a big gender gap in the crypto world?
You know, it's unfortunate. It's very similar to what we see in more traditional industries like tech or finance, right? There are women, there are just significantly less of them, and they're often later adopters or later entrants into the space, which in this world significantly influences our, gender wealth gap and a lot of other disparities, which are really important for us to start working on. So you'll see kind of that these traditional industries are leaning into DEI efforts kind of retroactively, but we're hoping that in building Web3 from the beginning and being early adopters, we can get more women in and kind of build DEI inclusionary efforts into Web3 as it's being built rather than after the fact.
Makes a lot of sense. So exactly how did you come up with this idea and execute it for Crypto Chicks?
Yeah. So this actually was created by a brother and sister duo based out of Russia, but with everything kind of ongoing and some of the other challenges, a number of community members, actually. So both myself and my co-owner now started as community members, kind of just stepped up, and we were like, we really need to be doing more in this space and doing the right things and making sure that we're taking advantage of this opportunity that we have, to really just build up this community of women and make it an accessible entry point for women to get involved in NFTs and the Web3 ecosystem. So we often talk about NFTs as a good gateway concept for people to get more into Web3 and blockchain in general. It's something that everyone can understand, right? Everyone's familiar with the kind of normal purchasing behaviors around wanting something that's uniquely yours, purchasing something because of access to a community, or even just buying something that you like for aesthetics. And NFTs are a great combination of all three of those things in a package that's really easily digestible for people who may not be technical and may not have deep understanding of blockchain technology otherwise. So we basically kind of started getting this NFT project ramped up, revamped, and really focused around the mission of empowering and uplifting women in this space. So we're excited to be expanding kind of past just the JPEG utilization of NFTs into some of the other more interesting use cases.
Well, I'm sure that's helping to build the community, like you mentioned. How does the Crypto Chicks NFT collection work to make NFTs more inclusive?
Yeah, great question. So we have a holder base of about 5,000 people right now, which is, quite large. They're distributed all around the world, which is fantastic. We pride ourselves on the community being an incredibly inclusive place to join, right? So for new people coming into Web3, oftentimes you can join communities that are require a lot of kind of esoteric knowledge, or you'll see a lot of people using jargon that if you're completely a new entrant into the space, you would not be familiar with, which makes you feel like the group's kind of unapproachable. But in our community, what you'll see is that people ask like silly or newbie questions all the time. And we not only have team members dedicated to answering them, we also have community members who jump in and will do like one-on-one phone calls or even group discussions with new people coming into the space. And then I'll also say we focus, primarily on women as a demographic, not to say that we're exclusionary of anyone else, of course, but we have kind of a number of different initiatives coming out that'll focus on specific personas or individuals that are going and moving up in the NFT space and Web3 as a whole. So right now we're focused on women artists. We just started an ETH fund. So we dedicate some of our profits every quarter specifically to buying up and coming one-of-one pieces. So unique art pieces and NFTs from women artists, which is really fun, super uplifting. We've put them all into a gallery that's virtual, so everyone anywhere in the world can kind of walk through and look at the different art, which is really cool. And then we also are voting on a number of new women artists to build a collection in collaboration with us. And then we are creating a new initiative that I can't tell too much about since it's not fully announced yet, that's helping to basically launch women designers' careers in the Web3 ecosystem, which will be really exciting. So kind of bringing in that fashion element along with the artistry. And we're hoping that over time, we'll be able to focus on kind of different other user journeys and make sure that they kind of smooth out all of the wrinkles that make it really difficult for people to get through each step of the onboarding process.
Absolutely.
Real quick, why is it so important for women to be involved in the crypto space?
This is one of those things where if we don't pull up our own seats to the table right now, then we will unfortunately get left behind. And that's going to significantly influence the amount of wealth that's in women's pockets and our spending capabilities as we kind of move into this new financial system over time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most people think of NFTs, I think, as just a picture. What are some of the interactive ways that Crypto Chicks NFTs are being utilized?
Great. Yeah. So it's interesting, actually. Every NFT project will do this a little bit differently, right? The utility for the community is different. For us, we recently just participated in Metaverse Fashion Week, which was the first of its kind. So we had a number of different emerging designers where they created digital wearables. So your avatar went into the metaverse, put on, clothing that was Crypto Chicks oriented and designed. And then we had a virtual pool party with a virtual DJ who, of course, is a real person in real life else in the world, which is really cool, right? It's kind of like your ticket into this smaller community of people around the world that you've gotten to know, and you can kind of hang out and spend time with them. We also will be able to use the NFTs as voting mechanisms, right? And so in the future world where we want to say, how do we select which women artists we end up partnering with? Each person who holds an NFT has a unique identifier, right? That they are a specific member of our community, and we can validate that they are who they say they are. And so we can use accurate voting mechanisms that way. So I think we'll start seeing, a lot of brand partnerships coming down the pipeline, things that are more similar to Web 2, but I expect that some of the Web3 unique angles around, decentralized voting and interaction in the metaverse will be really key utility for NFTs.
Thank you. Some great, valuable information here. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, NFT is still very new, so definitely make sure you check out the Crypto Chicks because they can give you lots of great information. They're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, and they're still very new to a lot of people. So I love when we have guests on here to help us out. And speaking of helping us out, next we check out a place that is providing help just below the border. Welcome back into Main Street Living. We have all heard the tragic statistics about the addiction crisis in our country, with more than 20 million Americans struggling with drug or alcohol dependence. Drug overdoses are now the #1 cause of accidental death in the U.S.
The good news, recovery is possible, and Baja Rehab, located just south of the California border, can offer a second chance for you or someone you love.
Baja Rehab is a high-end drug and alcohol treatment center in Puerto Nuevo, Mexico. We specialize in drug addiction and dual diagnosis. We're full medical detox, and we're a 60-day inpatient program. We really focus solely on drug addiction and alcoholism, and we understand there's complications with that. There can be, if somebody's using methamphetamine for a long time, they could appear to be schizophrenic, but what we found is if you take away the meth, we get them sober, we get them reassessed by a psychologist and a psychiatrist, maybe get them on a stable set of medication, that all the other outside issues, the schizophrenia goes away, and then we're just dealing with the substance abuse issue.
What got me here was, just hurting my family for years and years of dabbling around with, drugs and smoking weed through high school, stuff like that. Then started dabbling with like coke, a little after high school, like parties or whatever. And then lately I just got addicted to opiate pills, pain pills, and became physically dependent on it, just sick. I just keep taking steps backwards, and hurting my family, and it's time to just fully put in the work to get clean.
Baja Rehab is $5,000 a month, and our program is 2 months. And that includes full medical detox. The difference between Baja Rehab and rehab in the United States is that here in Mexico, the family member can have direct conservatorship over their loved one's care, which means that the family member, basically the addicted person, cannot check out until their family and our treatment team says so.
For anyone struggling that has gone through things, I have put my family through so much. And I've kept a great job for so long, I just can't get away from the devil, which is these drugs. And I'm done disappointing my family, I'm done hurting my business. And I have strong faith that this is the place that's gonna make me forever, take me away from that lifestyle forever,
I would say in everyone's heart, they want to be sober, they want to function normally, they want to have this connection with society and the people, and it's taken from them. It's taken from them through addiction, and they need somebody to step in and help them. And that's what we provide.
A serene setting, and it is saving lives. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and it's tough to ask for help, but we all need it sometimes. So important to keep that in mind. You can get in touch or find more information at bajarehab.com. Straight ahead, we have more Main Street Living. Welcome back into Main Street Living one last time. Another great show, and honestly made great by Kate Longworth joining us today. So Kate, thank you so much for stepping up today and filling in one of our host spots, because I definitely can't do it alone.
Yeah, whenever you need it, just call the bullpen. I'd be happy to step in.
Well, Kate, where can people find more information about all the fun stuff you're doing?
Well, you can catch me on my show on Your View on Arizona Living, or you can follow me on social media at Kate Longworth TV on Insta and at Kate Longworth on Twitter. And speaking of social media, you can also now catch the show on the go. Just download the Contour app, log in, and search Your View. We'll see you there.
That's right. You can catch up on all the episodes. New ones air on Mondays at 9 p.m. So until then, we will see you next time right here on Main Street Living.